What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn responds to Deontay Wilder taking on the champion Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury, and this is what he has to say. He calls this fight the fight of the year, then proposes an undisputed fight planning to involve Fury, Dillian Whyte, Alexander Usyk, and Anthony Joshua. Eddie Hearn has heaped praise on both Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. He says, this is what he says. He says in reaction, he says, technically it was all over the shop, but who cares? The drama was unbelievable. Massive credit to both. I have to give Fury credit because he dug deep and got the win. It was brilliant for boxing. We need fights like that. We need fights like that. And everyone's talking about it. I think it's the fight of the year so far. One of the greatest heavyweight fights. Regarding of the defeated man, Hearn added, Deontay Wilder's credibility before Saturday was on the floor. Now I think his credibility has gone through the roof. Although he looked like his tank was empty for 2 rounds, he stuck in there. He could not even stand up, and he kept going. So he deserves a huge amount of credit. Whether he gives Fury the credit, whether I give him the credit, I think fair play, you've got bottle. I actually think Wilder is in a good position now. Deontay Wilder has only lost to 1 man. Okay. Dillian Whyte, of course, will be the mandatory for Tyson's next fight, so long as he beats Otto Wallin on October 30th. Hearn hopes to use this as a setup plan to ultimately crown an undisputed king. He said, as fans, we should be calling for Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte. Imagine the buildup. Imagine the fight. It does well over 1 million pay-per-view buys, sells out a stadium. It's huge. With AJ fighting Usyk, what other fight do you want to see Tyson Fury in? That is the fight. The winner of Fury and Whyte will fight the winner of Alexander versus Anthony Joshua. Those are the words of Eddie Hearn. Let me counterpunch. I think Eddie Hearn, that is the reason why Eddie Hearn is who he is. That's why he has such a good reputation, because he's able, despite none of those guys being promoted by him, he's able to give a fair assessment of what he saw. Because a lot of people, let's face it, they won't do the same. Okay, a lot of people will shun down an opportunity or try to boycott a fight, of what we've seen, because they don't like what platform it's on. Eddie Hearn doesn't have that problem. That's why he's successful, because he doesn't work on hating. He works on participating, and that's exactly what he was doing. Okay, and it makes a lot of sense. And it's exactly what the video that I posted earlier about Dillian Whyte and Tyson Fury. That's the fight that should happen, okay? You look at this year, okay? Look at this year on how it unfolded. The fights that we supposedly wanted to see are the more popular fights, Joshua and Fury. It didn't happen. Why? Because Tyson Fury owed it to Deontay Wilder contractually to fight each other. Okay, so that's the fight that should happen. Alexander Usyk deserved to fight Anthony Joshua. Why? Because he fought for that opportunity. Okay, not him and Joy. So that's fight people were kind of interested in seeing, but at the end of the day, that's the fight that wasn't really right by so many standards. Okay, and the right fights happened. Okay, so I think the third fight should happen also. Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte. That fight should happen. Okay? That fight should happen. And actually, it really shouldn't even been an Otto Wallin, but I understand that Whyte needs another fight. Okay? So why not? So that's right. I think Whyte, Fury, build-up would be huge. British fighters have backstory, bad blood, all that stuff. Been talking shit to each other for the last 2.5 years. Why shouldn't it happen? Okay, and the winners and whoever is the victor fights each other at the end. And the beautiful thing about it, there's no set in stone winner. Yes, Fury's on a high. Yes, he beat Deontay Wilder, but didn't we see this same thing last year? So what has Tyson Fury did this year any different from last year? He just did it quicker last year. So let's pump our brakes and then really just settle down. Yes, we're still on high from seeing one dynamic fight. But if Tyson Fury would have went out there and knocked out Deontay Wilder in the first round, nobody would give a shit. Okay, it would have been like, this is a total waste of time. But Deontay showed that he was resistant. He showed that he had heart. He showed that he was driven. Okay, he came up short. Bars. So it didn't really matter at the end of the day. What mattered is there was a spectacular fight. But the credibility of Tyson Fury shouldn't go too far through the roof that he should overlook his mandatories and his obligations as being a champion. Okay. And what Eddie Hearn's saying, well, hey, this could be big because at the end of the day, Tyson Fury should fight White. And then after the outcome of Joshua and Usyk, then those guys will fight each other in the square circle. And then perhaps that'll be in the UK too, because even if Usyk beats Joshua, both of those guys are in the UK, White and Usyk. So it'll still be a UK thing because Alexander Usyk, I don't think has any problem fighting in the UK. And I think he knows, like by now, he's pretty much adopted that. Think about it. The Olympics, knocking out Tony Bellew, defeating Anthony Joshua, really twice if they fight there twice. So he won't even have a problem even fighting in the UK. Okay, so I think that would be a fight that we need to see, and a lot of fights can happen. We get the rematch between Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua. We get Otto Vailene and Dillian White. Then we get Dillian White and hopefully the winner out of those guys. So, the winner out of him, Dillian White and Tyson Fury. So we have a slew of heavyweight fights that could happen. And then somewhere you can throw Joe Joyce in there, put him in there with Wilder or somebody like that, or Ortiz, on that side of the street and get that brewing. Okay. Then you got to remember Daniel Dubois, put him in there with Frank Sanchez. So the heavyweight division is booming, and it's a great, clever way to get the undisputed fight that we finally get to see. We may or may not end up with the fighters that we originally want to see, but again, guess what? The original fighters were Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. Well, they both got beat. This is the sport that I love, that I hate so much because of that reason, because you never know with this show. Bars. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Eddie Hearn saying that he thinks this was the fight of the year and proposes a strategy for the undisputed showdown. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunched. Peace.